What's up, guys? February 18th, Dual Coast Podcast. We are live right now, 8:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time for Russ, 5:30 a.m. Pacific Standard Time.
Good
Russ, how you
morning.
feeling good?
Feeling good, man.
Feeling
Yeah,
good?
as we were talking earlier, man, got some good sleep, because time here in Cali is a little earlier than the East Coast, baby.
Right, right.
And but yeah, slept great last night. I actually woke up at 3 a.m. and kind of toss and turn for a few minutes, and I was thinking about this morning, and then boom, back out.
Back at
But
it. Back at it.
slept great.
He's a busy guy. He's a busy guy.
How are you doing?
I'm doing good, man. I'm doing good. I worked yesterday, coming off a late night actually at the hospital, but we're doing good, man. Here for the podcast, of course. We got an interesting topic today. Guys, we're going to be going over obesity. Obesity is something that, me and Russ actually have been researching, fighting against, preaching against, whatever we can over, the amount of time that we've actually known each other. Russ has a big movement against it, obviously. Move Today 365. A lot of you guys follow him from that aspect. So, Russ, what do you think about obesity? Talk to me a little bit.
Well, it's a no pun intended. It is a heavy topic.
Yeah.
It's, when you think about obesity, right? And you think about where we are in society, we are like the leading country in terms of people that are obese, and it's hard not to consider and think about obesity without mentioning COVID, right?
Sure.
When you think about 2020, right? It's like impacting, it has impacted our society in every aspect, in every way.
Right.
Now, the thing about Dan, about COVID is that, there was a lot of interesting things that happened, right? So I live on the coast, and
Yes.
here's an interesting story. I live on the coast. Now, in COVID, the crazy thing is you could go out on the sand, okay, up until 11 a.m., but you had to be moving on the sand. You could also just be walking to get into the water to swim. You're not going to snorkel here because you can't see. You're going to surf, you're going to paddleboard. You could move towards the water, but you couldn't stand and be sedentary. You could not sit in the sand up until 11. At 11, the beach closed completely, right? And then after 5, the beach boat opened back up for movement. And it's just crazy because you think about before 11, after 5. Okay, well, what's the difference between before 11 and after 5?
Yes.
And from 11 to 5, there's nothing different. Like COVID doesn't do like this out on the sand, out in the open air. But here's what happened is here locally, surfing increased exponentially. Before you maybe see, 100, a couple hundred people, spread out over the waves, right? Sure. Now it's like 7 on a good day on a weekend. You're talking like 500 to 800 out. It's amazing.
Wow.
Multiple people carrying, catching these waves. But I'm not here to talk about that. I'm here to talk about the people who have not basically adjusted from COVID.
Yeah.
Because what happened is we're all forced home. We had to stay indoors. We were locked in, and we had to stay inside, right?
Yes.
But what happened is because of this, people still to this day are still working from home. Maybe completely, Monday through Friday. Some of them maybe 1 to 2 days a week or whatever. But the thing about it is that COVID forced us inside, and a lot of people didn't adjust after that or even during that to get out and to get moving. Like,
Correct.
I would look out on the streets and there's nobody driving, nobody walking, nobody moving. And so then all of a sudden we're eating, we're staying indoors, we're eating. And all of a sudden 1 pound, 2 pounds, 3 pounds, 5 pounds, 10 pounds, and I've talked to friends that are like, yeah, I've got this COVID weight that I can't shed. Right.
Yeah.
And, so it's really overcoming yourself to get back into shape, or if you weren't in shape and you just added pounds, or you're still adding pounds because you're still sedentary. So it really comes down to personal choice. It really comes down to decision making that you want to make on your own, right? To get out of this funk. We can blame COVID. We can blame saying, we were forced indoors and we never recovered, whatever. But ultimately, it comes to the point that we were inside. All of us we were inside. And then as a result, if we are going to move or we're not going to move, we are far removed from COVID now. We are far removed, right?
Yes.
So now if we're not active, if we're not moving, then it's right here. It's all on me, right? And so really, this should be an inspiration for people who are still living sedentary lives, that to say, I've got to do something different. And I got to do it today, not tomorrow, not next week. You know, we talked about our words of the year being intentional. It's about today.
Right. Yeah, I think the rhetoric did develop a whole work from home type of ideology that hasn't really subsided yet. You still hear about these big corporations and everybody who still keep these employees at home. And I think, they probably found a lot of savings in that also. So now they keep them at home, saves the company money, but people actually suffer from the not getting out. They also lose a little bit of social aspect, obviously, because they're not talking to their coworkers and things like that. They're not going out. They're not doing things together.
Yeah.
And I also think that it developed to a degree, it carries over into their lives as that sedentary lifestyle, like you just said. They're not doing as much. They're not motivated as much because they're in their home all day. They're not going outside. They're not working out. They're not getting exercise. And that traces back actually to, taking that whole first step that we always talk about as far as getting out there, taking the first step to whatever it may be, your approach to exercise. You want to do yoga, you want to do this, you want to do that type of thing. I think that whole rhetoric carries over into their lives, and they haven't really superseded past that to progress. And we always talk about progression, Russ, right?
Yes, we do.
The whole COVID pandemic caused people to regress, and now we haven't really come out of that idea yet. And now it's a matter of, it's kind of the onus is on you as the person to get out there, put yourself out there, and try to get out of that comfort zone, like we always talk about also.
Yeah.
I'm a big proponent. I had a whole conversation yesterday actually about getting out of your comfort zone, putting yourself in the room. I tell Russ that all the time. And I think people don't really have that as much as they did prior to COVID. I think people have developed this whole idea where they have lost that social aspect, lost that motivation, and don't know how to get that back. And obviously that's something, we're here to help you guys with. Right, Russ? I mean,
absolutely.
As far as getting out there, as far as taking that first step. Yeah, I mean, me and Russ were coming over some statistics actually prior to the show today, just a bit regarding obesity and regarding the whole, post-COVID pandemic and everything like that. And I could just shoot one out there real quick to you guys, and it's interesting. And Russ focuses a lot on this because of his Move Today 365 movement. Young children under the age of 5 years old, last year, statistically, globally, 39 million children were overweight or obese in the year of 2022. 39 million. That's a pretty staggering number, in my opinion, honestly. Russ, what do you think about that number as far as kids being obese to that degree in 2022?
It is staggering. And, I was recently, about a month ago in Pittsburgh, and I spoke to about 600 kids at a school.
Yeah.
And at this school, I was asking, basically the 3rd through the 6th graders, I was like, so, with your lifestyle, right? Tell me, what is your opinion on how much time you average per day, right? What you average per day. And from 3rd to 6th grade, or maybe it was 5th grade, it was staggering. It was 3 to 6 hours a day for a 3rd grader. Okay.
Interesting.
So now when you think about 39 million, that is a unbelievable number, right? But then when you go and I ask the question, it seems like it's reality, right? It seems that's just one school. So on average, if you're taking, 3rd grade to 5th grade, on average across the United States, and everybody is averaging 3 to 6 hours a day, well, guess what? They're also going to school.
Yeah.
Right. So where is this time? This time is in the evening. Right. And so my challenge to the kids that are out there and speaking to these 39 million, these are the ones that we've got to reach. This is our future. Right. And, I know there's, at the heads, there's, some adjustments they're trying to make as far as, our food and the processing of the food and the processed foods. So, but the thing about it is it's personal choice. We can all go 10 of us can go to the supermarket and we can all buy 10 different things, right?
Oh, easily,
and some are going to buy more processed foods. Some are going to buy more fatty foods. Others are going to buy healthy foods, right? And so all of us that go shopping, we can decide what we're going to buy. Are we going to buy fruits and vegetables and lean meat? Or what are we going to do? But my movement, Move Today 365, is really reaching those kids because it's a life adjustment to get these kids off of devices. But it's not just kids, it's adults. But we're going to stick to your number of 39 million. It's impacting this future generation of children that aren't quite yet on devices, right?
Sure.
So you're talking infancy up until third grade, roughly. And so I just think it's so important that as parents, we set the standard for our children of what we need to do and not to be lax with that.
Right. I think the kids actually may have suffered more during the COVID pandemic than even the adults. Reason being that the adults, they already have that aspect where they knew of going to work, they knew of going outside, they knew of moving, and that. The kids who are of young age back in 2020 have never really experienced that. If they were 5 and 6 and everything like that, they've never really had that. So they led into COVID without even having a past of going outside, of playing so much with their friends and everything like that. And they probably lost, I would have to assume, a lot of that social aspect from going to school. And then they relied on the technology. Now they regressed automatically off the bat because they never really had a jump start. They automatically went to technology. And now it's probably extremely hard to get them motivated because that's almost all they know.
Yes.
Right. So, it's probably difficult for them to obviously get out there and start to change their whole lifestyle because they never had the lifestyle to begin with. So now it's, how do you change that child's mind and try to get them motivated? That has to be a difficult task.
Yes. Well, we're going to Pittsburgh, in a couple of months. And, in Pittsburgh, you have Kids of Steel program. And there's going to be a marathon. And they are going around to schools and really motivating kids to be a part of not just the marathon, but also just active lifestyles, right? And so we have partnered, Move Today 365 and Kids of Steel have partnered and supporting each other and, promoting each other. So you and I are going to be there, going to be a part of the marathon and be there to promote kids' activities, not just a one-time a year activity, but a healthy lifestyle. And that's what you and I are about. We're talking about mental and physical wellness, and we want to help people. We want to help people not only with their lives, but also if they're parents and how they can help their kids and what standards they can set inside their home to impact their kids, whether they're 1, 2, 5, 10, 12, right? Yeah. And, I remember reading some time ago, something on Matthew McConaughey, who said, he didn't give his kids cell phones until they were 16.
Really?
Imagine that, right? Imagine that. And technology is here to stay. So it's just a matter of what we're going to control as parents, but really helping garner these kids and shaping them for a healthy future for not only their lives, but lives of America.
Right. Yeah, I don't think it's a matter of, I don't think technology is that bad. Obviously, me and you use technology all the time.
All the time.
We're on it right now. We use our phones. We have social media for dual codes and everything like that. It's a matter of tapering it. It's a matter of how you utilize it, how long you utilize it for. Obviously, certain things have certain effects on you. Looking at the computer all day definitely has detrimental effects on eyes, brain, everything like that. Blue light coming off the phones, coming off the computers, lack of sleep, stuff like that. You have to control the amount that you use this stuff.
Yes.
Obviously we're all guilty. Everybody has their cell phone on their pocket all the time. You get a text message, you look at it in 10 seconds. There is nobody who doesn't. If you don't respond, I'm sorry. You already saw the text message. I know you did. You looked at it 10 minutes ago. It's always that way. But, I think it's a matter of how you use the technology. It's a matter of, you could use it in a proper manner, so to speak, I guess, for lack of better words. You just use it to make yourself better, use social media in a good way and stuff like that, as opposed to getting sucked into it, just scrolling, just utilizing it, video games, stuff like that. And I think that's where the kids, again, tracing back, I think that's where the kids suffer a lot too, is they're always on the iPads, they're always on the computer, they're always in the video games. Video games, obviously, you know, it's hard for kids to control that, especially at a young age, I would think nowadays. And I think parents at the same time, Russ, you may agree with this, is they use the video games as like a punishment type of thing. Like, you can't play video games for the next day or two or something like that. It's almost like the kids are controlled by the video game, so to speak. It's like their outlet, as opposed to their outlet being going outside, playing and everything like that. The video games is like the ultimate for them. You pull that away, that upsets their whole lifestyle. If I said you couldn't go outside, not too many kids would be upset these days. Back when I was a kid, probably 30 years ago type of thing, I would be upset if my parents were like, you can't go outside. It'd be a different story. Right. It's not like you couldn't play video games.
Kids today would be stoked to stay inside.
Exactly. Now I think it's a different idea, you know, post-COVID, so to speak, and even prior to COVID too, but I think worse probably now.
Yeah.
I got
well, you know, I think, you know, for an adult, right, you know, we realize the importance of social connectivity, and it's not healthy. It's not healthy to be isolated. But if you take, you know, a person that's 35 or 40, right, who is sedentary, isolated, but then you take that to a 5-year-old who's learning those same examples from a parent, right, who's not doing anything.
Sure.
And you learn that, then guess what? It's a lot of times that is the trait that they learn and they carry on through life.
Right.
So, you know, really our message is really not only impacting adults, but trying to reach the kids, right? And
Yeah,
and that's what my movement's about, is really just trying to get parents, when they read the book, is like, let's strap on the backpack and let's get these kids outside. Because I know, you know, we're doing this challenge right now of a mile a day and of walking. And every time I go outside, yesterday, this is what I put on the vid last night. Yesterday, you know, I was, you know, had a super busy day mentally, right? Just locked in all the way until get home, eat, shower, and put on, some cozy clothes. And I'm ready to just kick it, right? But I know I still need to get my mile in, and it's overcoming this, right? Sure. And as soon as I, threw on the sweatshirt, put on the sneakers, walked, as soon as I walked outside, I'm like, oh, this is why I do what I do, right? Yeah. And it's instant change. And you get the body moving. It's like, yes, because I'm not concerned about any numbers. I'm not concerned about tomorrow. I'm not concerned about what do I need to do, right? For the next 20 to 30 minutes, I'm just going to breathe in fresh air. I'm going to move my body. I'm going to get my heart rate up, and it changes everything. And then when I come back, I'm in a whole different mode, right? I'm in a whole different place mentally at that time, right?
Yeah, because you could shut down for that hour or that hour and a half and stuff like that. I think, and you'll come back stronger, so to speak, mentally, physically. I think you'll come back a lot stronger. And I think that's where a lot of people lack the idea, is that they don't have that motivation to just jump out there, try to get something in, half-hour walk, 20-minute walk. I think a lot of people would do a lot better from controlling stress, getting off their technology, getting off the computer, the cell phones, whatever you want to call it. I think people will, actually do better from all aspects. And we have that discussion all the time. I just got one more stat I want to throw at you real quick, Russ.
Sure.
So this is global obesity statistics. And this is back in 2022 also. So we did the kids already. Now, this number is way higher. This is adults at 18 plus years of age. In 2022, there was over 1 billion adults classified as obese, 650 million women, and 450 million men. And that's in 2022. So we'll call it 2 years into COVID, so to speak. 1 billion. So that is with the kids were 39 million. That was in 2022, under 5 years of age. And now 18 plus, covering the rest of that, is 1 billion. That is
1/8 of our world.
1/8. I was just going to say about 1/8 of the world.
Yes.
That's exactly right. That is a very, very high number.
Yeah. I'm blown away by that number. You didn't share that number with me prior to, right?
I know, I did it on purpose.
So I was just, I'm trying to wrap my mind around it, right? Because that is unbelievable. I mean, the kids' number was was staggering. This is off the charts, right?
Yeah.
But we need to impact ourselves first.
Yeah.
We've got to make the choice for a healthy lifestyle for us first, right? Yeah. And we can do our part, to help bring those numbers down. Right. I just had a lady in Florida yesterday hit me up and say, "Hey, I want to be a part of your walk." Cool. And that's, it's just, I love when people say, "Hey, I got out and I did this yesterday," right? I love hearing that because it's great feedback for me when people are walking, they're running, they're biking, they're doing yoga, they're surfing, they're whatever, right? They're just getting outside and being active. And I love hearing that feedback. Would love to hear from you guys what you're doing to make changes in your life to help reduce stress, to reduce anxiety, to reduce weight, right? And let's see what we can do together through this show, but also the people that are listening. What can we do together to greater impact society today? But let's start here first. Let's start with them. Yep. And I know this is a subject that we are probably going to bring back maybe in a couple of weeks. Absolutely. And because there's just so much that we can talk about with obesity.
Yep, absolutely. Yeah, guys, we're definitely going to touch back on this in a bunch of episodes. Next week, we have a great guest, guys. Rosie Ballard coming on. She's going to be great. You guys should tune in. We're going to land the plane here, I think, Russ.
Yes.
So, guys, follow us on Dual Coast Podcast on all social media platforms. We're on Spotify. We are now on Apple Podcasts. If you guys didn't see that on Instagram the other day, Apple Podcasts now, Spotify, Amazon Music. Follow us on YouTube. We got the live streams going every Tuesday morning, 8:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, 5:30 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. Check us out, Instagram Live. That's going right now also. And Russ, I'll close it out today. And guys, we have a statement that me and Russ always love to use to close it out. And we say, wellness is not about perfection, but progress. Russ, you agree?
100%. Let's move forward today, guys. All right. Don't worry about being perfect. Okay. Just take those steps. Take those steps of action and join us today in moving every day.
That's right. Dual Coast Podcast, guys, February 18th, episode 7. Check us out.
Thanks for listening.